Hi, I want to do a really quick video to cap this week off to show you how to clear a processor fault. So I already downloaded this one rung of program with a divide instruction. And right now I just named some variables, source A, source B, destination, so that I'm using the same terminology basically as the Studio 5000. So what I want to do is I want to be able to change these values. So I'm going to just right click and say variable monitor. And we've done this before, and I'm just going to slide this over this way and then bring up my simulator again. And I'm just going to put a value in for source A, let me just say 10, and a value for source B, and we'll use 5. And you can see that I have input 0 mapped to perform division, so that when I click on input 0, it performs the division. Now we know that divide by 0 is illegal. So if I divide by 0, I'll set source B to 0, and then I'll execute the divide instruction. So when I execute the divide instruction, you will see that my processor faulted. So how do we clear a fault in CCW, a processor fault? Well, let me close this little window, and I have the processor open yet. Up on the menu bar where it says connected, drop this down and you'll say diagnose fault. So we'll do a diagnose fault, and you can see that it is a recoverable fault. Just like in the Studio 5000, there are faults that you can recover from within the program code, and we don't talk about that in this course. And there's also faults that you cannot recover from. So this is a recoverable fault. It tells you that it's in program 1. And I didn't rename the program, I just kept it program 1. That's why this is labeled. If I click on this, it takes me to program 1 to the instruction that caused the fault. So let me go back to the fault diagnosis, and you'll see that you can get a log of your faults, or you can clear the fault. And this is where you could clear the fault. So I'm going to clear the fault by clicking on it. It cleared the fault. So I'm not in fault mode anymore. You'll see the fault light's not on. However, I'm not in run mode anymore. So I need to go back into run mode. And to do that, we up here on the connected, drop down to connected, and say run mode. Say OK. OK. And I now have a data overflow error. And that's because this divided by 0 again. It's because I didn't fix the error. So I'm going to turn this input off. I'm going to try to change the data variable monitor, and I'm going to change this data so that it doesn't fault. And then I'm going to clear the fault. Diagnose fault. And we'll say clear the faults. Then when I come back to the program, again you'll see that it's not in fault anymore. We have to go back to run mode. So connect it, run mode, OK, OK. And I'm back in run mode again, as you can see. So that's how you clear a fault with the CCW, whether it's the simulator or hardware. Now, one last thing, and I'm going to let you go. CCW simulator will sometimes throw an error or a fault for a watchdog timer. A watchdog timer monitors the length of the scan. And if the scan gets too long, then it throws a watchdog timer fault. This is a known bug. I don't even know that it's a bug. It's a known issue with this simulator. there's an easy way to fix it. So if you get an error, if it faults the processor and it comes back something about scan or length of time type error, what you'll want to do is you're going to want to press Control plus Shift plus Escape, which will bring up the task manager. Now, we want to make sure that your simulator is powered on when we do this. And then go under Details tab. In the Details tab, look for the Micro 800 Sim EXE. So here it is, Micro 800 Sim EXE. Right click on it and choose Set Affinity. And you'll see that in Set Affinity, this particular laptop has 7 or 8 cores of processor. What's happening is that the processor is in the computer is too fast for the simulator to run. So what you want to do is just reduce the number of CPUs that the simulator is running. I find that usually if I go down to 4 processors, which is CPU 0 through 3, it seems to work really well there. You may have different number of CPUs depending on your particular hardware. This machine's a Core i7, so it has 7 cores associated with it. So then just say OK and close the window, and you should not be bothered with watchdog timer faults. Now, one last thing, you may have to do this or do that step for every project or for every time you open CCW. Not for every project, but every time you open CCW, you may have to make that setting. I noticed that mine has not kept that setting. I have to go in and do it again. All right, so that's all I wanted to tell you. I'm actually going to also post a tech note about that in the discussion board in the CCW conference area. All right, so hey, thanks a lot for listening.